TIFU by letting my niece and nephew use my PSN account, and ruining my girlfriend's holiday. Update post here. Maybe you already know where this is going. My niece and nephew are the best niece and nephew an uncle could ask for. They're bright, kind, good-natured kids. My niece, who we'll call L, and my nephew, who we'll call W, don't have many games on their PSN account, so being the cool stupid uncle I am, I gave them access to my PSN account, to play my far superior collection of games. All was well for about a month. I knew they couldn't buy games on the account because all payments require a card verification number. But imagine my surprise yesterday when I get this message on Facebook. _sad_frog. Can you check your bank? It was my brother-in-law, L and W's father. W is playing Fortnite and he has 65,000 V-Bucks. Is this normal? My heart stopped. Their parents are great people, but not particularly savvy with gaming, consoles, microcurrency. I went to my transaction history on PSN, and nearly threw up when I saw this. Identifying details have been cropped out. All told, £422.90, $531, had been siphoned out over a week, with most of the bombardment happening yesterday. By the time I got back into account to assess the damage, 20,000 bucks had already been spent. I saw that the PlayStation wallet can be topped up before each purchase, so they must have paid for it by first buying wallet currency, which apparently didn't require a code. That's FU number 1. Tell them to stop what they're doing. Shut off your PS4. I have to sort this out. I immediately unhooked any bank cards from the account, and looked at what my options were. Nothing. PlayStation Store doesn't have protections against accidental purchases like this, and the best they can do is refund the amount back into your PlayStation wallet. This is money that can never be accessed again, except for buying games or mother f V-Bucks or some other banana currency. For all intents and purposes, I have lost that money. The bank can't do anything about it. So here's where it gets really messed up. FU number 2. My girlfriend is visiting family in the US, and was storing her savings for the trip in that account. She will have expenses sorted because she's staying with family, but she will be going with virtually zero spending money now, and they had a number of activity planned which she likely can't take part in now. That was a very difficult phone call, and she handled it better than I ever could have expected, and far better than I deserved. I'm not mad at the kids. I genuinely don't think they meant it. I'm mad at myself. I didn't think it was possible, but then I should have done more research. I feel so terribly guilty for putting my girlfriend in this situation. The kids are upset that they did it, their parents are currently suffering from stage 4 embarrassment cancer, and all around the whole thing is just heft. Not a rich couple, and this one has hit us both pretty hard. So, fair warning, double check that your payment security features on PSN are set up properly or you could end up getting thoroughly shafted as we did. TLDR, left my PlayStation account to the mercy of my 5-year-old nephew, who spent all of my girlfriend's holiday money on bucks, mostly in the space of a day. Edit, a couple of people have mentioned that we get email notifications on a purchase. This is true, but it's set up on a different email that wasn't set up on our phones to notify us. It would have dramatically improved the outcome of this if we had done that. FU number 3 confirmed. Update number 1, PlayStation support was closed for phone calls today, so it will be tomorrow, Monday, when I can contact them. Hate to add more salt to the wound with FU number 4, but this might help you in the future. If you log into their PS4 and set it as your primary console, all other accounts on that PS4 get granted full complimentary access to all of your games, DLC, and subscriptions. You can then lock down your account with a password pin, so they can't log into it. But they'll have access to your games and stuff on their accounts. Edit with more details since this got so high up. Since your console is no longer your primary system, it will need to be internet connected in order to verify your purchases anytime you want to play anything. Your niece FU's console will not have that restriction. Additionally, you cannot play your games at the same time as them. They won't need to log into your profile every time they turn on their console to access your games. Simply having your profile set up on their console is enough. If you buy new games, They won't be able to download them without signing into your profile. But you can remotely download your games to their console through the store. PlayStation.com and Xbox.com website. Source: I do this with my girlfriend's Xbox PS4 and my roommate's Switch. You can get a refund. Who told you that you can't? PlayStation will do a one-time, as in your lifetime, refund for this exact situation. I know because my son did the same thing. He spent $400. I contacted PlayStation and it took maybe 30 minutes on the phone to confirm information. I had every cent back within days. I never had to deal with my bank again. You absolutely can get it back. Edit: highest rated comment is about my kid being a little coconut. And GT: their parents are great people, but not particularly savvy with gaming, consoles, microcurrency. Looks like they're savvy enough to warn you. Too true. Seeing 65k bucks and that sending you into a panic means you know how it works. Can you find people on the r/Fortnite BR sub that would Venmo or PayPal you for things they'd like to purchase on the game? You can gift it to them and make some of your money back. Maybe offer a small discount to incentivize people to help. Not a bad idea. I'll look into it, and if in not breaking any rules anywhere, it could be an option. Just out of curiosity, and you don't have to answer, how did or will you manage it financially with your bill? The account it was taken from was mainly for PSN, Netflix, and some savings. We can still pay our bills as this was ancillary money to be used for my partner's trip. I'm sure relatives will give her a hand. But yeah, we'll have to build up our savings again. Still, a fuck up was performed. TIFU by Banana Girl. Obligatory. This happened yesterday. This girl and I had a fun-filled day out on the town. Afterwards we got a hotel. Things started getting hot and heavy and my fingers ended up in her pants. One thing led to another and I started zucchini her. She was having a grand old time, showing the usual signs that I was doing a decent job. A good portion of the way through, my nails must have given her a bit of a cut and she said ooh and passed out cold. I'm sitting here wondering what the zucchini just happened. I call her name and start panicingly shaking her. She's not responsive and I slap her face. As soon as I did this, she starts having a seizure. Now I'm freaking the out. I jump out of bed and start to call an ambulance. I'm about to start the call and when she stops and starts making grunting noises. She's giving me this WTF just happened look and I tell her what happened. At first she tells me she doesn't believe me, but then said that she has a history of having seizures when she gets hurt or scared. She said that when she has a seizure it's best to let it take its course unless it goes on for a while. I just sat there in the thank God I didn't finger a girl to death state. Needless to say, our sexy time ended right there. TLDR, I fingered a girl into a seizure. She stops and says it happens sometimes. I dated a girl in high school like this. We dated for years, only happened a handful of times, but every time it did it scared the zucchini out of me. Deleted. So when is the next date? Lol. Sooner than you'd think based on this post, lol. Good tip from my female friend: keep your nails trimmed. Good rule of trimmed: if it scrapes the inside of your cheek, it'll scrape the inside of her banana. Thousands of dudes just surreptitiously swiped the insides of their mouths. She's basically a human fainting goat. Seizure-gasm. You've reached God level of finger banging. I have epilepsy and am a woman. Don't feel bad. One night me and my fiance had some of the roughest banana I've ever had in my life. It was good. Turns out during I ruptured an ovarian cyst, apparently that is something that can happen, and got a super sharp pain and threw me into a seizure as soon as I stood up and felt the pain. Still top 5 best butternut I've ever had. A word. Edit 2, and my top comment is about me having zucchini, pain, and having a seizure. Thank you. Also I want to clarify, the cheesecake wasn't great because he ruptured a cyst. The cheesecake was great prior, it just turned out to be so vigorous that the cyst ruptured and afterwards I felt the pain when I went to stand. Gentlemen, please don't aim to rupture cysts for your lady friends. TIFU by revealing that I had secretly hid in my roommate's closet during his pre-bedtime ritual. Obligatory, did not happen today, but 13 years ago. but it also ties into recent events. I lived with 2 roommates in a 3-bedroom apartment during college. We'll call them Ned and Ethan. The 3 of us became great friends and partook in standard college debauchery, to include pranks. The most common recurring prank was laying in wait somewhere in the apartment with an acoustic guitar, ready to bust out Adam Sandler's at a medium pace. Google it, at the most unexpected time. Everyone thinks they're hilarious in college, I know. The most common locations for this were the living room closet, under the kitchen table, or some other common area of the apartment. But one night, my dumbass self decided to kick it up a notch, hide in Ned's bedroom closet, wait until he was just about to fall asleep, and then hit him with the crass sounds of Adam Sandler on my banana Washburn 6-string. Trying this sort of shenanigan on a random college student would be suicide, but Ned was no random college student. Ned was the 6'3" milquetoast soft-hearted teddy bear that all the ladies loved, but none of them would date. Ned would drive 3 hours home every weekend and bring back a casserole that his parents still cooked for him. Ned never talked bad about anyone behind their back, always tried to pick up the tab at the bar, and would be sure that everyone had a sober ride home. In short, Ned was the kid that every quixotic parent wishes their angel would be when they send them off to college. So to me, that meant that whenever Ned shut his door at night, he changed into a neatly pressed set of pajamas, humbly consumed an 8 ounces glass of tap water, and retired to bed. So I grabbed my guitar, turned off my bedroom light, shut my door, so that he'd think I had went to bed early, and snuck into Ned's bedroom to position myself in his closet. It was a reach-in closet with the accordion doors that had the horizontal slats at a 45-degree pitch, like this. Ned's bed was on opposite side of the room from the closet, so I'd have an adequate acoustic buffer between myself and Ned, in case I accidentally shifted my weight and made a subtle noise. But directly next to the closet, literally 1 foot of distance from myself, was Ned's computer and desk. Ned came into his room for the evening, shut his door, turned off the light, and sat directly down at his computer. Due to the 45-degree angle of the closet slats, I could see the computer monitor on his desk perfectly from my head level, down to the desk level. The 12-inch proximity of Ned spiked my adrenaline, and I began to control my breathing. My back was pressed against coat hangers, and I had to diligently muffle an acoustic guitar to avoid giving away my position. Ned loaded up his email for some nightly reading, and I had convinced myself that everything was now just a waiting game. Artist depiction. As Ned closed his email though, my gleeful, mischievous anticipation promptly transitioned. Ned did not reach for his glass of water. Ned did not opt for the pajamas. Ned did not leave his desk. Ned reached for a box of tissues, navigated his browser to a site that specialized in butternut of large black women, and dropped true. Million regretful thoughts immediately went through my panicked brain, but it was too late. If I make myself known now, he'd be immensely embarrassed and angry that I had just violated his privacy. But if I didn't speak up now, chances are I'd have to reveal myself after he was done doing the deed at some point, which means he would have rubbed one out while his roommate had a line of sight 12 inches away. So I was just stuck there, frozen, trying to remain motionless and silent, while Ned flogged the dolphin mere inches away. It felt like I was breathing down his neck while he was stroking it. My hands began to cramp as I awkwardly held the guitar in a way that wouldn't generate an ounce of noise. My legs began to jitter as I compensated for the awkward position of my back against coat hangers. Seconds turned into minutes and minutes felt like hours as I waited for him to finish, not knowing how the hell I was going to make it out of his room without him noticing. After Ned's satisfactory groan of pleasure in tandem with a rhythmic plop 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 onto a Kleenex, it felt like my guilt had transitioned from a misdemeanor to a felony, and my knees were jittering so hard that I had already started rehearsing an apology in my head for when he inevitably heard a noise from his closet. Ned promptly got into bed on the opposite side of the room, and I had started to evaluate my decision in life, and the real possibility of spending the entire damned night inside of his closet. All critical thinking had revealed zero other courses of action, until I remembered my cell phone was in my pocket. But with 2 hands stifling an acoustic guitar and zero room to maneuver, how would I get the phone out my pocket? Somehow I did, and I texted Ethan in the next room over, and GT, Fugama, in Ned's closet, was trying to do medium pace gag. Ned started wanking before I could start. Now I'm stuck in the closet and can't get out. Need help. And GT, Ethan, LOL right. And GT, Fugama, Ethan, I'm dead serious. I need you to help create a distraction for Ned so that I can GTFO of this closet and back into my room without him noticing. And GT, Ethan, we're going to need to have a talk later. Right around then our landline phone rang. Yeah, they were still on the tail end of existing in 2005. It was 10:45 p.m. on a Thursday, but I could hear Ethan answering it loudly and obviously. Hello? Why yes, Ned is here. Is everything okay? Ned, come here, phone for you. Ned rolled over in bed, and immediately took the bait. How this never raised suspicion, I'll never know. It was a cordless phone. There was no need for Ned to walk all the way out of his room to the kitchen. Thank God he did. I bolted out of that closet and retreated back to my room, and Ned was none the wiser, as he went to take a phone call that some stranger had conveniently disconnected right as he got there. I was forever in debt to Ethan for saving my banana, and we never told Ned. That is, of course, until last weekend, 13 years later, when we were both in Ned's wedding. There was a fun pre-wedding bachelor activity with the groomsmen where we all had to list something we found interesting about Ned and put it into a hat for a groomsman to pick out of a hat. 4 beers in, I was convinced by Ethan to write that he enjoys banana with large black women because it would make a fun bachelor story over 10 years after the fact. But of course that's not what happened. Best man decided it would be more fun to, without warning, switch things up, and swap hats with the maid of honor, so that we'd be reading the bride's, and they'd be reading Ned's. And of course, there was a larger black woman as a bridesmaid on the other side of the aisle who just happened to coconut draw that out of the coconut hat. I didn't even know her name. I had actually never even met the bride until the wedding weekend. The bridesmaid read it aloud, mortified, and tried to brush it off as an intentional joke, targeted at her in poor taste. Ned, however, looked like everyone in the room had just seen him naked. He immediately pulled all of his groomsmen aside, and asked us who had put that into the hat. I immediately confessed, and explained the story from 2005. Ethan and I waited for Ned to chuckle, smirk, or brush it off as a ridiculous moment in history, but apparently it was still too soon. We were both relieved of our ceremonial Bible verse reading duties that day and had to go apologize to his bride and the bridesmaid. TL, doctor, hid in my roommate's closet as a prank, watched him coconut 12 inches away, kept it a secret for over a decade, and then revealed the information to his bride's best friends in the most awkward way possible on his wedding day. I've since learned my lesson and just don't hide in people's bedrooms like an idiot. Edit, thank you all for the gold comments and concerns for Ned. Ned is a really great guy and I'm sure we'll be fine. Edit 2, I got Ethan to create a Reddit account and entertain questions. You can find his comment here. Edit 3, /u/nippy_hades was kind enough to narrate this entire thing for your listening pleasure and my eternal remorse. Haha, he's gonna tell him later and it'll be so embarrassing. And GT, 13 years later, at his wedding, oh no. This is Ethan, just wanted to chime in and say this was all as batshit crazy as it sounds. But I can assure you no one was more surprised than me, obviously a non-redditor, to get the link this morning and see how our depravity had taken off. We called him up to bury the hatchet and let him know about it. He chuckled, we laughed. Everything is fine. It was an unfortunate sequence of events to be sure, but it had a, Lord do I say it, happy ending. For anyone else that actually makes it down this far, this is indeed the actual Ethan. He's not a Redditor, so I had to get him to create an account. And since I know how Redditors work, I'm sorry. I know plenty of you will think this is BS, but I simply don't know how to verify to you that he is who he says he is. If anyone has any reasonable ideas on how to do that, I'll be happy to entertain them. Anyhow, feel free to ask him anything. Wingman Ethan is the hero of this story. This is my favorite verse of R. Kelly's Trapped in a Closet.